Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Community Health. We have 8 locations to serve you better. Our staff is dedicated to help you and your family. Here's your host, Vicki Soule.
Good afternoon and welcome to Community Conversations. You know, every week we come up with someone new and different to talk with you and with me about things that hold some interest for those that actually handle my calendar. And so I'm always a tad surprised the morning of the taping because I never know who's going to appear on my calendar. And this week I'm happy to say it's Elizabeth Thomason. Elizabeth is probably known to many of you from her many years as the leader of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Indian River County. But we somehow twisted her arm, not very heavily, to come over to Treasure Coast Community Health and work with us on some of our fundraising. And so welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Great to be here, Vicki. And no, you didn't have to twist my arm very hard. I have a passion for healthcare.
You do. But at the time, I didn't know that you had originally started your career as a registered nurse until we got into COVID and you volunteered to give shots. And I was like, how can you do that? And she said, well, I'm a nurse. So nurses can do it all.
That's right.
That's right. And so we're happy to have you here because as we come to the end of the year, and yes, I can't believe I'm saying that because it seems like it should still be summer. The tropics are still a mess with the whatever we want to call it. I don't want to call it that H word, but it's long past due for the tropics to settle down, the winds to quiet themselves, and have us actually focus on end-of-year things like fundraising. And that's a very important part of the work that we have to do at Treasure Coast Community Health, as you have found out, because even though we have federally qualified health center as part of our name, our bylaws, and all of that, the reality is that we have to compete for whatever federal funds we do get, and it's certainly not near enough to take care of the community that we have. So we have other partners. The Hospital Taxing District is a huge supporter of what we do, and other nonprofits, and so I'm deeply indebted to them. But it never seems like it's enough. So talk to us about some of the historical things about the end of the year and philanthropy.
Well, you know, the one thing that I'm still surprised about is that a lot of people do not know that we are a nonprofit, a 501c3, and therefore do rely on the generosity of our community, our donors, some of the other funding agencies here in town. So I think, you know, getting the word out about that is critical. We certainly have bad debt that we have to write off on a monthly basis. The amount of money is astounding to me because we do not turn anybody away because of an inability to pay. So patients
make a pledge to pay what they can based on their income and family size, but it doesn't always work out that way.
That's right.
You know, the car breaks, you know, child needs something unexpected. Those monies go first.
That's right. Life happens.
Yeah.
So I found an interesting statistic that I think it was almost 1/3, so 33% of all annual giving worldwide happens in the month of December. So I think the reason for that is people are getting into the holiday spirit. Maybe they're feeling a little bit more giving, a little more loving, hopeful for the new year. So there's certainly a great opportunity for people to make that year-end gift for tax reasons, but also just for that warm and fuzzy feeling as well.
I was going to say, you're not married to an accountant like I am. So first comes the taxes, then comes the warm and fuzzies.
Exactly.
But it's absolutely true that without those funds, we would not be able to offer the services that we do. And in fact, there's been some talk at the state level about changing funding streams for federally qualified health centers and what it would mean if those, in fact, happened. And I've heard my colleagues talk about, you know, the tough decisions they would have to make in terms of shutting down individual centers or lines of service, those things that aren't profitable.
Well, and that would be a shame because, you know, you look at the continuum of care that TCCH is able to offer. from medical to behavioral mental health, dentistry, vision. I mean, we have a wonderful variety of services for people of all ages.
And we're not mandated to have anything except medical in-house. We could contract out for dental or behavioral health services. The federal government says that these funds that we're giving you is really so that you can have the basic necessities, and things like optometry, diabetes. Those are just, well, if you can, you can, but if you can't, as long as you do the core services, that's what we're asking of you.
But that makes us so special because we are able to do that. And I left out pharmacy. That's another very convenient service for our families.
And it makes it affordable because we got into providing pharmaceutical services because we were seeing a lot of people not keeping up with their medications because of the cost. And so, we would say, oh, they're not compliant with the doctor's orders. Well, peel the onion back a little bit further and ask why. Why aren't they? And for pharmaceuticals, 90% of it was because of the cost. Yeah, convenience is great. And, there's some other factors at play. But the main one is about how much it costs to keep yourself on meds.
Absolutely.
Ask any diabetic. I just about croaked when I heard that insulin had risen up to $1,000 a month for many people.
And that's a medication that is not optional.
Yeah,
That is not, maybe you skip your blood pressure medication,
right,
but you can't skip your insulin. So it's a shame that people have to make those very tough choices these days. But again, that's where the third leg of the stool, if you will, are the donors, our local donors in our community, where they come in, year end, maybe if you're 70, 72 and a half, that you can
start your IRAs.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's another avenue that we have. I will tell people I have a holiday gift idea. So for the person who has everything, and there are a lot of people that we know, our loved ones who have everything, why not make a gift to Treasure Coast Community Health in honor of somebody or in memory of somebody? And you get your tax deduction, and it's a wonderful gift. Our office will send a Christmas card on your behalf to your loved ones saying that you made a donation in their honor, or we can also send through email a very nice thank you video. So that's an option if you're out there listening and you want something different for your loved ones.
Giving the gift of health. Can't think of anything nicer. Yeah. Trees may make it. I used to give out trees. Coming from northern Michigan, it seemed like a natural, but not everybody's got a green thumb, but everybody can use some health support without a doubt.
Absolutely.
So we were talking earlier about there's lots of different ways to give as well. Besides a gift of cash, there are, you hinted at annuities when those start, when you have to withdraw from those. That's like found money.
Yes. No, we will accept, most gifts, whether that is if you are talking with your attorney about your will and you'd like to make a planned gift to a charity. We are more than happy to be the recipients of that, obviously. I've been reading up on cryptocurrency, and that is something that we can take as well. I think that that's sort of a new trend in fundraising, people getting set up to take cryptocurrency. So we'll do that too.
Okay.
We're going to work on some stock donations here shortly. But please,
And someone told me about being able to leave like a life insurance policy.
Yes, the charitable gift annuities, we certainly can do that. That's a little bit more complicated, or maybe for the sophisticated donor, if you will. But we are able to do all of those vehicles.
Well, I'm going to have us take a short break because when we come back, I want to talk about all the uses for that donation that we're anticipating as we continue to grow. Treasure Coast Community Health in-house pharmacies have the lowest prices in Indian River County, even lower than big box pharmacies. Taking your medication as prescribed leads to better health. Affordable medicine makes it easier. Treasure Coast Community Health patients can pick up medicine as they leave the office or use free delivery and mail order services. Pharmacists are always available to answer questions. Switch to TCCH pharmacies. Save money, stay healthy. 772-257-8224 and ask about our price match.
Revive Vero Beach, located next to Anytime Fitness on Oslo Road and 27th Avenue, has everything you need to look and feel your best, including hormone replacement therapy, stem cell therapy, sexual wellness, weight loss, laser aesthetics, hair, tattoo, and skin spot removal, Botox and fillers, cryotherapy, comprehensive blood work, and everybody's favorite ozone and IV therapy. Refresh, renew, and revitalize yourself at Revive today. Call 772-492-6607. A member of the iTex trading community. Your iTex dollars are welcome.
Dr. Stephen Tate offers the safest and most efficient technique for customized cataract surgery. Patients are personally counseled on the best approach for their needs and lifestyle. From multifocal lenses that allow for distance and reading vision to toric lenses that correct astigmatism, let New Vision Eye Center guide you safely through your options. For world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast, visit newvisioneyecenter.com.
ITEX, or International Trade Exchange, is the largest barter company in the world, with over 25,000 members offering goods and services. We're a marketing company that brings you new business in the way of trade, with over 200 local members enjoying the benefits of ITEX, like lawyers, doctors, plumbers, media, printing, and more.
Hi, this is Liz Bowler. Contact me and find out why barter through ITEX has been smarter for over 30 years. 772-532-1881. Visit itex.com.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining, my name is Vicki Soule. I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health, where we currently have 8 different clinical locations, plus our administrative buildings. So you don't have to go too far to find a neighborhood place for primary care, whether it's for medical or dental, behavioral health, pharmaceuticals, x-ray, even eye screenings. We're going to be collaborating with the Globe Check folks and starting to provide eye screens without dilation, just an easy 10-minute screening, same thing you would get in any of your eye doctor offices. So come on by and say hello. Today, though, I have Elizabeth Thomason with us. Elizabeth works for Treasure Coast Community Health now. She is our foundation director. And so, as the name might imply, she has everything to do with helping us with our foundation, with our fundraising. And we've talked a little bit about why that's important from an organization and a patient's perspective. But we've got some new things in the works. So I thought we'd spend a few minutes or more talking about that.
Great. Well, we've got some exciting things coming up. Where as we enter our 30th year next year, the amount of growth since I've known about TCCH, which has been about 12 or 13 years, the amount of growth has been astounding. Our reach in the community is very broad, and I think it will only continue to grow.
Well, your history is right on target. 12 years ago, we opened up our Oslo site, and prior to that, we had only had Fellsmere until the hurricanes happened in 2004 and 5. And the board of directors at that time in 2006 said, we want to have another presence in the southern part of the community. But until then, until we can figure that part out, let's have a temporary at the 777 37th Street building. And so when I came on board, they were in their third move into a bigger suite. But they said, as soon as Oslo is built, we won't need the central location anymore because, it's public health and the health department does it. And, people have a lot of private physicians already that they have relationships with. And so they told me as the new COO, just staff it and get about half of the building working at Oslo. And I thought, build and they shall come. Could it really be that far off base between the hospital approach and a federally qualified health center? So I kind of did what they said, but I kind of had reserves, and we were full with everything within 6 months. So the demand has been there from the very beginning in terms of comprehensive, affordable, but high quality health care. And so that drum roll continues to work. and we had the opportunity to purchase land right next to our Oslo property. And so we will be putting another building there. Again, some of the same fine staff members. We're looking at perhaps, and I say perhaps because it's not in concrete yet, moving our pediatrics away from our adults. We have already a whole plethora of services there, but just not enough room for people to be seen on a timely basis. So we are continuing to recruit. I'm happy to say we have 2 new pediatricians, one at Oslo and one who splits her time between our Central Vero location and Gifford. And they're booking up really nicely. And we have nurse practitioners and physicians that we're bringing in as well. But just like if you have more servers, you don't want them arguing over the same tables. You want them to have more tables. We need more exam rooms. So that is something I'm really looking forward to. But again, with a little trepidation, because the federal government is not paying for one bit of this. It all comes out of whatever our slim margins are and philanthropy.
Exactly. And so as we get into our 30th year next year, the community is going to hear a lot more about kicking off a capital campaign to help pay for this wonderful building, which will allow us to serve more patients. And we know that that part of town, the South County, especially when the interchange at I-95 gets installed, I expect that we'll see a tremendous growth in that part of the county, and therefore the need for our services will go up.
Well, they're already building homes out there, and, you know, that's where people's opinions in terms of, well, but is it housing for people who can afford to go anywhere, and why would they choose a community health center? You know, why wouldn't they go to a doc in town or a concierge doc? And when people ask you that, what's your response about why would people continue to go to a public health, as if that's a bad word now?
Well, I don't view TCCH as public health. It's community health. It's the whole patient. In fact, I switched my primary care provider over to Treasure Coast Community Health when I joined the company.
Voluntarily, I never had a word to say about it.
No,
just we're clear.
It just wasn't working out with my former provider.
I already said I twisted your arm to come. So
No. I have been so pleased with my nurse practitioner and the quality of care and the just being able to reach her when I need her. And I was up against that with my last provider. I had one provider who went concierge. So, you know.
It's been the trend over the last year.
It has.
Yeah.
And
not everybody can afford that.
No.
And so there are a lot of folks our age that are saying, well, I've already got a cardiologist and a pulmonologist. Why do I need another doctor? And I know that they're the ones that connect the dots.
Absolutely.
Having gone to a cardiologist this year, I love them, but that's their singular vision. And other questions, it's like, oh, I'm sure you'll figure it out. You're smart.
No, I think you do need to have somebody at the center of all of your care calling the shots and double checking on prescriptions. And
so that's what we do.
Yeah.
That is what we do. And because we have these services overlapping, whether it is dental or pharmacy, the reality is it's a common medical record that's limited to only those people that need to know that information. So in dental, we take blood pressures and we talk about when did you have a glucose check? Okay, because we've learned in the last 10 to 15 years that diabetics can lower their A1C and have better control of their diabetes if they get their teeth cleaned regularly because of the bacteria and the sugar in your mouth. So we ask all of those things and we put them in the records so that people that are co-treating, as it were, have that information as well.
Well, and I've also learned that if there is a larger problem, the primary care providers are not afraid to, outsource the patient's care. We have one patient who's done a testimonial for us that he presented with COVID-like symptoms, and in fact, he did have COVID. His blood oxygen was very low, and he was immediately sent to the emergency room, and he credits TCCH for saving his life. So, if a referral needs to be made, then it's made.
Absolutely, and followed up on.
Yes.
That's one of the things that amazed me when I first transferred over from the hospital. Hospitals are real big on measuring things. They're sort of bureaucratic, and so, again, whether it's from the federal government and CMS or the state government with Medicaid, there are certain things that are expected to be reported upon. Different things than in the outpatient environment. But I would say, probably 12 out of my outpatient sections, 12 measures, was probably not atypical. But we're probably submitting between 45 and 50 every year and quarterly in between. So, we look at how are we doing in terms of advising people to have, whether it's a mammogram or a colonoscopy, or their blood pressure, is it under control when they come in? How about their sugar? How about their statins? We look at all of those things as factoring into an individual's total health. And we do ask, when was the last time you were to the dentist? And do you have any problems that you'd like to talk to a counselor about? We screen our children as well as our adults for, of all things, I'd never believe I was saying this, but suicide.
Yeah.
How's your mental state? Are you thinking about something very serious that you maybe are concerned about talking about? Okay.
Definitely.
It is just an amazing team, and I'm very proud of them. And I wish more people would use that, particularly those of us that do have a Medicare card and could go anywhere. Like you, I would encourage them to consider Treasure Coast Community Health, because as someone once told me some very many years ago, a federally qualified health center is like private practice on steroids. It's supersized. It's what you had and so much more. And so, as you say, it's really not public health. The only public piece of it is that we are a federal safety net. So if someone can't afford care, we don't kick them out. Okay? If they're behind on their bills, we work with them. We try to set up payments so that we can help others without those bad debt numbers, as you say. But the reality is when they're not doing well, is the best time to help them, not the worst.
Well, and as somebody pointed out to me when we were going through our AAA HC accreditation process, that federally qualified health centers are held to a higher standard than a private practice, because we do have to get accredited every, X number of years.
Twice. Once by the federal government under HRSA, the Human Services Resource Administration, and once on a voluntary basis through the American Accreditation Association of Healthcare. And
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That gives me peace of mind.
Good. As a nurse, I appreciate you saying that. So we are going to be rolling out some new things, including our new badge and our new logo.
Yes.
Because we're very proud of the changes that we've made over these last years. And it speaks to, again, new growth, new beginnings, still the same quality and consistency, but moving forward with some new buildings, some new services perhaps, and really supporting people. So there's people in this one, not just oranges and waves.
Yes. I'm very proud of the work that Bobby and the board did on coming up with this new logo. It's, change is always difficult for some people, but I think the fresh new look really reflects the vibrancy of our organization, and I'm really excited about that.
Yes, we had 3 new gals this morning come in for orientation. 2 of them are going to our front desks, and 1 is going to our call center, which we, again, with new technology, are working at improving both for not just our patients, but for our staff. And so, yes, we are definitely vibrating with energy these days. So thank you so much for explaining so many things to our listeners.
It's a pleasure to be here, Vicki.
And I hope that you have a great week and are tuned in next week again for another interesting conversation. Thank you and good night.